would you say, were you more in your feminine or masculine, or how do you see maybe from the story of your relationship with yourself, with other men that you dated, like, were you more like masculine or feminine mostly? And how are you now?
I've always been kind of that type A, just top
Mhm.
of the class, perfectionist. I've always had that kind of go, 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 like go get it kind of mentality that I always thought that every aspect of my life should be like that. I'm going to go after something. I'm going to, if I want it, then I'm going to go get it. And I'm not going to wait for somebody else to bring it to me because why? And I always thought that way when I was younger. And part of it was also I think, well, we didn't really have, internet, or we didn't have a lot of those discussions when we were younger, back when I was younger. It was more of just what I thought in my mind. And that's what I thought, how you should be. And so looking back now, definitely, I really was in a lot more masculine state for a lot of things. I mean, I also was very, very shy too. And I wasn't very, I think, confident in myself because I was so shy all the time. I was just a very awkward kind of shy kid who was just focused on grades. That was it, because that's how I grew up. My family, we're from India. So it's like, you have this path that's already laying out for you, straight A's, got to go to college, get, like a professional degree, then get married, have kids, and that's your life for you. And so I always kind of had that goal in my mind of, okay, I am, getting the good grades, then I will get accepted into college. And then after that, marriage, kids, and all of that stuff. So, um, but I was very shy. And so because of that, I wasn't very confident and comfortable within my skin or myself either. And so I think that contributed a lot to me to be kind of uncomfortable and not really in a place of being safe in my feminine energy, because I felt just unsure of who I was. And I think for a lot of people, even masculine or feminine energies, you feel once you feel more comfortable and really confident, then you can really stay in that place more and exhibit those energies. Otherwise, if you're unsure, you're just kind of like, the energy is like that too. The universe is going to bring that to you too. If you're unsure, then the universe is unsure. And those are the results that you're going to get. And so that's what I would always just kind of get, things that are kind of like, just not really clear in my life, just kind of iffy. And I struggled a lot with it because I think I tried too hard in certain areas. And I always was just trying to please people, including just everyone in my life. And so um, I, it took a long time for me to like really just sit back and just wonder, why am I trying so hard in certain areas of my life and it's not producing results? And what does that really mean? So I had to really like ask myself all of these questions. And I went through a really difficult divorce. And because of all of that, which it was an arranged marriage, so it was all of like a real learning, part of my life, because it's not like I chose that person. And culturally, a lot of people in India do get arranged marriages. So, with that, I learned a lot about who I was, what I needed, what I want, and what I put up with and what I don't. And within that evolution, I feel like that's when I kind of really sat back into my own feminine energy and realized that I don't have to try so hard. Things will come, effortlessly once I become really confident and comfortable in my skin and who I am, and not question, who I am, because then people will question who I am. And I think men really want to be with a woman who is so comfortable with herself. And I think it doesn't have to do with the outside then anymore. It's about what's in here. And like you talked about with the energies, I think they were all over the place, very scattered. I wasn't safe. So obviously, if I'm not safe in my life or feeling safe, that's the first energy, or that's the first chakra. And so that's the basis for everything. And so my life showed it, because, the divorce and like just kind of like everything that happened afterwards, everything kind of crumbled. And so I had to get my foundation right. And so once I started working on myself, just doing a lot of inner child work, a lot of different therapies, just meditating a lot more and just becoming just kind of more grounded and just quiet. I think that's when things just fell into place. And it wasn't even like, oh, I'm in my feminine energy. Everything's great. I didn't even know what it was, but I just felt a little bit more calm and more grounded and just kind of like, okay, things are going to be fine wherever they're at. I'm actually happy like with who I am. And it took a lot of years. And I think one key thing that's important is that I think sometimes people relate also masculine with someone that's just really built and just, really just looking a certain way, or feminine, who is just very soft and just beautiful and just like delicate. And I think it doesn't always necessarily have to mean like, physically what they look like, but it's really everything is inside. And
Yeah.
because everything is so outward focused these days, we forget that it's like your aura, it's like what you have around you, that's what matters the most. And that's that energy, not like necessarily what's on the outside at all. And that's when you see certain women who are just projecting that feminine energy, and there was somebody who's just masculine, but you're wondering, she's not even that pretty, or he's not even all that. But it's because their energies like fit together so well. And we don't even realize that it's all underneath the layers that we talk about, that it's not like the outside superficial. It has nothing to do with that. And I think that was kind of like a huge thing for me to realize. It might seem like, oh, wow, you didn't even know that before. I didn't. I mean, I think we all have our own path. We don't know what we don't know. And once I did, it was like, gosh, there's so many things I don't even need to worry about. It's not even outward, it's all inward. And once we go inside and just become silent more, and then work on those like various chakras and those colors and those sounds and whatever it means to balance those energies, then things become a lot more effortless and just easier. And I think over time, then there's less noise outside that you need, like the outside people and outside things. And there's a lot more clarity inside. And for me, that's what it means now in my feminine energy, is just having that sense of like calm and just being okay, just where I'm at, and not like fear of what I'm missing out, or I got to go do that. I got to go do this. It's okay. Everything's good. And I think that's like a really, it's like a freeing feeling, and it feels really good, actually.
Yeah, the trust part is a lot about heart chakra, where you trust the universe, trust that everything turns out the way you intend, like the way your intention is that you want to happen. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's is there something specific that you do to balance your feminine and masculine?
Well, other than meditation, I do chakra meditations. Um, Not like every day, but I do it quite frequently. And or like different mantras and even colors. On some days I'll wear specific colors relating to those chakras if I feel like I need more of that,
Mm.
just to kind of like really like kind of embed myself in that whole, energy. And so I always feel like that helps me a lot. Um, but I think more so than anything, I try to like just be in my heart a lot more, just thinking about, how will this give me more love? Is this, because for me, I feel like this whole purpose of life is like a um giving love, receiving love. And how can I be in that space a lot more these days? What can I do, to like allow myself to feel just completely loved? Because for me, it's like I always think there's only two emotions, fear and love. And so I just asked myself that, um, am I in a place of fear right now and worry, which I've been there before many times. And that's where Ayurveda and mindfulness has really helped me. And that's kind of why I'm here today. Or is it like I'm in a place of love and I'm giving unconditionally, I'm free to receive. And, what kind of decisions am I going to make based on that feeling? So I think more so than anything, that's what I try and focus on the most. And not necessarily focusing on the heart chakra, but just like the place of love, or that feeling
Yeah.
of love. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's helped me a lot, on my path for sure. And the easiest part is that it's not even like it doesn't even take any money, or it doesn't even like, there's no effort really. It's just being a place of like love and just like being free and just allowing yourself to just like, touch other people's lives and kind of receive that love. And for me, it feels um like that's my purpose too. And regardless of if I'm making money or, things will happen. Of course, certain ways I'll make money, but I think that feels like it aligns with my myself and who I am and the path that I want to follow and move on. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, that's great. The connecting to heart and acting out of love, like approaching every situation out of love, every
Mm-hmm.
that you have around, like it's really helpful, like to stay balanced and just calm, and
Yeah.
that manifests for you really things you want.
Yeah. And I've totally seen that in my life. Like I've really seen that evolution completely. As a relationship coach, I'm sure you see a lot of women that are like very high achievers,
Mm-hmm.
top of their, just their company. Yet it's ironic. A lot of them are the ones that struggle the most in love. You would think because they're such high achievers, they know how to get what they want, and
Mm-hmm.
they have, worked their way up to, that corporate ladder. But then what do you see is like the obstacles or barriers to love? I mean, how do you help them balance that masculine energy? If they've been stuck in that masculine state, maybe for so long, how do you help them like get back into a balance then?
Yeah, definitely meditation would be the first thing that I would say, because through meditation we get back to what's the truth, like who you are, connection to your higher self, and you get really answers that like you didn't even know you have questions for sometimes. Like meditation is really like where you get all the information you need. But of course there's additional tools. Mm, if we take example, there are several reasons, there's probably even a lot of reasons why a woman would stay in her masculine more than feminine, and how it really affects her relationship with men. Um, let's One of the examples would be is when let's say a woman lost her dad very soon, like very early on in her life, and she kind of took that masculine side of her father to help her mother, and she would be a strong woman that is doing everything at home, at household, being the support for her mom, and growing that way. And that's all she learned, like since her like, create her grown life, or like maybe even sooner, like teenage age, and then later she would be in that masculine all the time because she needs to take care of her mother. And that could be there's no like we can't say like someone specific, like there's a one reason for that. The either it's just circumstances, it happens, and it's either her initiative that she wants to take care of her mom, or it's her mother's initiative that she would ask her daughter to take care of herself. So it doesn't matter, but the tendency becomes that way, that the girl grows up in her masculine, mostly doing things that she maybe wouldn't do if she was like more feminine, like even fixing things around the house, or bring the groceries where like they're really heavy, and she'll be like, I can do it, I'll just do it. And of course we all can do everything, but it's not necessary. Like if you want to, there are ways like to, if you want to balance the energy, you kind of do it mindfully, because like you have to be aware of that first of all, to know that there is a feminine and masculine, and that there is different ways of how you approach things from feminine and masculine. Sometimes, yeah, most of the people probably don't even know that there is this kind of strict, like there is a differentiation between it, and how to sense it, how to act on it. So Uh, she would grow up in her masculine. She would be very much high achiever, most likely, probably opening her own company or being a really in a good position at some kind of corporation. Um, so when the man comes along, and man would, if he is in his masculine, if he is like more like traditional, he knows that he's also has to be achiever, he needs to provide for his family, so he has his mind straight on being more masculine. And she becomes, they form a couple, and both of them are masculine in this couple. That would create a lot of problems because, well, the man needs to have like feeling the nourishment, like the care, but he doesn't need her to fix things or to create like those decisions even. Like she might be suggesting something, and again, like man in his masculine, he wants to feel being a leader in the relationship. So the woman in her masculine also would want to be a leader, because it's just generally that's what masculine, being a leader. So when both of them trying to lead the couple, that's always going to be a disaster. So in this case, the woman, when she if she manages to get back into her feminine, she might just in relaxed, trusting kind of that state. She can see that she doesn't need to take care of everything at once. She can trust in her man who is leading, who will be doing those actions. And it's always it happens a lot when a woman is so strong in her masculine that her man gives up his masculine. So the woman takes over all the decisions in the family. Sometimes even men stops working and starts drinking alcohol a lot because the woman is in her masculine so much. It's almost like men has no purpose. Like he's there, but he's like, what I'm here for, if you taking care of everything around me. So
Yeah.
of our couple, of our family, of our children, you work so hard, like you're doing everything, like what there's left for men. And he falls into his feminine or falls into his um, it's more like weaknesses, I would say. So like he would start drinking because he doesn't know how to approach that woman who is like taking care of the everything around and in her masculine. um of course, like there could be other reasons, but that's like very clear pattern that happens a lot in couples. And once the woman gets back into feminine, drops off all this um all the responsibilities that hers and her men's at the same time, gives him that leadership position that like he can create some decisions, he can offer like some changes. And they would start, there have to be communication, of course. It gets to the point where they both can discuss again what is expected of both of them, as to like a household, as to a relationship, the way they would like to be taken care of, as we talked previous time about five love languages. So and then it kind of sets from there. But it's, yeah, for a woman, it's especially nowadays, it's really hard. I mean, it's actually very easy to fall into masculine, or it's really hard sometimes to keep up only feminine. So in this case, that's where like they can use their masculine, but it's better be at the gym, at work, like everywhere else, but not with her man. With her man, she needs to be, relaxed. Yeah, as you explained too. Like it's more like I'm trusting you. You're the masculine. You're a leader. You're gonna lead me, and I'm gonna be there to support you, to nourish you, like to give you like nice words of affirmation because I believe in you, and I don't need to do it all myself. So yeah, that's like about the balance, feminine and masculine and couple, that how it affects.
That was like super helpful and really, yeah, explaining a lot of things. And I think the dynamics of why certain people act how they do in relationships because of their childhood and because of how they were kind of raised. And so their expectations. So it's really hard to change, right? Because that's how they've been kind of, that's how they grew up and that was their kind of circumstances. Is that something that women can easily like shift, or is that like a long kind of a difficult way to like kind of, because they're stuck in like, not stuck I guess, but they've been kind of like programmed to act a certain way. And so then all of a sudden to say, no, you can't do that. Now you have to give up just all kind of like, you know, a lot of that kind of go-getter ways to like, switch to this. So how have you seen that in your, I guess, coaching with women?
Yeah, it's not just the easy switch. It's as almost as creating new habits. Like you um it's the balancing of, even if we go back to the chakras and talk about like second chakra, which is more emotions and sexuality, and that's more feminine. That's where the women should practice more connecting to that. So it's about there are also elements, like the elements that correspond to each chakra, and element of water is corresponding to second chakra. So activities in the water, for example, more like connection to the ocean, maybe at the beach, like when we are in the water, or taking a long bath, that relaxes a woman. So things like that, like connection to water, helps to stay in your more feminine, actually, and relaxes you. And there are meditations where you will be like almost like feeling as you are water, you getting those qualities of the water in you. Like that's really nice meditation where I always do when I'm on the beach, where you just in like you imagine that you are water, you feel it with your body, you absorb all this, because water is also like it can be like gentle, like sensual, sexual. So you start like absorbing that emotion in you. And this is a practice, like it takes time after time to start feeling it, for some women, like if if they're really disconnected with their body and their feminine. um, I would say, of course, like even wearing dresses, like wearing beautiful clothes, like dresses, something colorful, something like just even, or white, like white is very much like associated with like feminine. Yeah, me
Like,
too. To
I did
do
wasn't even intentional.
yeah. So yeah, wearing something beautiful, making yourself like more feminine, looking more feminine. Um, what else? Like the dances help a lot, like when you start like going, and feminine circles, like women's circles, that gives you also that connection to your feminine, because like there's only feminine, like when we all gather together, it's like
Yeah.
multiplies that energy. So you can also like, you can feel that kind of relaxation, that it's different. It's not when you're surrounded by men, you can feel right away that you're surrounded by men, it's more masculine, and you probably will try to match up that energy with a man, as we're always like matching up, right? Like when with someone. So when you're surrounded by women mostly, then you kind of get back to your feminine, and you stay in touch with it. There are like those few things here and there that you just start creating as a habit for yourself. I would definitely, like, even myself, I'm more in my masculine. Naturally, I would be more in my masculine, and throughout my life, that was my main energy, like where I'm staying. Also, achiever. I'm gonna do everything. I loved sports, so I would do any sport. I would play anything. Um, Gym always was in my life. And now I actually signed up for dances, and I know how much it helps me. I can feel how much it helps me, like that, like even just not thinking about anything, it's like meditation, but also like just connecting to my body with those moves that are more feminine, where you just like do those waves and like some like ass shaking even, it's not what I
It's
do.
working.
Yeah, twerking. Yeah, it's literally second chakra moving, So
Okay.
so it's definitely, yeah, there are ways how you can, there are those little things that are just more feminine, and you just start doing them more and more, and you start connecting. But there should be an intention. So there has to be always intention, where like even with that water meditation, you know that you're connecting to your feminine. So you have like to set that intention so you can work on something. Because if we do something with no reason, we're not gaining anything. So you need to have some kind of set mindset that, okay, I'm doing this for that. Like I'm doing this so I can relax more. I feel my feminine. I feel more trusting and emotional and all that.
Yeah.
For each woman, there is a way to find what they would enjoy the most, like what will fill them up and what will help them to open up their feminine. So in coaching, I usually try to find that with the women. So to see what they can try, what they can experience. I definitely give them water meditation all the time. Like in the recording, they can also listen to it when they, or just anytime they have connection to water, they can feel it. Even when rain goes, like when we have rain, you can also kind of start connecting and like feeling yourself like part of the water, part of the that sensuality energy.
So, like, say maybe even like going to women's retreats, women's like different communities where you're kind of just exploring your feminine side and really letting go and releasing, that would be really good.
Yes.
Or what about even like rain sounds at night? Would that help? Just kind of listening to the rain and having your subconscious hear that, maybe?
Yes.
Okay.
Even walking under the rain, I think it gives you this. We have to start like femininity is about feelings. It's about like experiencing with your whole body, like thing that happening. So it's not brain, it's not thinking. Thinking is more like logic. It's more masculine, which is I have plenty. Like I'm constantly like on my own example trying to get back. So yeah, like when you connect to rain, you can even like be under the rain. That can give you this feeling of like calming down and relaxation.
Which is actually very similar to Ayurveda, which we haven't really touched on, which we will probably our next session, but just in a little like nutshell, just because it's water is and you're touching something, something's falling on you. And then maybe if you're on the ground, like you said, touching the water, it's just all grounding. And so you're connecting with earth. And so all of that really helps a lot because we're energy, like you said, we're just all like complete energy. And so when we're touching that ground energy, it's just coming up into our whole body and, allowing us to be so much more connected rather than just being out there in space, on the air, just kind of in our head, which is like not a good place to be. So I think everything, once you start talking about everything, it's so cool because it doesn't matter if it's just chakras, if it's just like Reiki, if it's just plain mindfulness, Ayurveda. I mean, it all makes sense. And it's all about just connecting with your inner self and just kind of, I think, disconnecting from the outside and detaching from all the outside situations and circumstances and just letting all of that just be and then just going inward a lot more and just creating from inside out rather than, being distracted from the outside in, which never works out.
Yeah, 100%. Is there something Ayurvedic practices that help you to balance feminine and masculine energies?
Um, I mean, besides like we talked about before, just meditations and just chakras. Obviously, we go a lot into chakra healing as well in Ayurveda. But one thing that I think is really easy and quick is just like it's called alternate nose breathing. And so basically in Ayurveda too, there's like the left and the right hemisphere. So there's a feminine side and a masculine side too. And so
Left,
um,
left is
Ida
feminine.
and the Pingla. So it's just, both energies. So in order to balance them, because one becomes more dominant than the other, like we talked about. And so once you do the alternate, is breathing like that, releasing, holding, releasing. So one that if there's any anxiety, it balances it because both hemispheres then are breathing on the same level. And so that in itself just calms your whole nervous system. And so because of the masculine and feminine, once you're breathing and doing it in sync, then it just has no other, and it has no other option but to balance itself. So that's like a really easy way. It's called alternate nose breathing. And there's probably tons of like videos on YouTube somewhere on how to do it, but it's a really easy way to balance that. And I usually try and do that, at night before I sleep for just a few minutes. Just because then whatever's happened during the day, you don't want it to kind of like be lingering in your mind because I'm an extreme vata. So for me, I'm in my head a lot more. I have to do everything in my power to calm myself down, to ground myself more, not to be anxious or thinking too much because it affects my sleep. And I've had a lot of things happen in the last few years that have really kind of like affected my sense of peace and just kind of nervous system. And I think for women in general, we are a lot more affected because we're always just in our feelings, in our energy, or in our emotions. And so any little thing that we're feeling, it just goes straight to our heart. So we're feeling it really deeply. And whereas like men sometimes, I think if they're in their masculine, they feel it, but it's like they can maybe like push it out and compartmentalize things a lot more and just do one thing at a time, where we always have like 50 million things in our brains just circulating and juggling everything. And I know for myself that when I do work with women, that's like one of the biggest things that I see is just this scatterbrain, just like being everywhere. Their energy is scattered because we're just allowing pieces of ourselves to be everywhere rather than like, bringing it all back in and balancing it maybe, just daily, because I think that's necessary in order for us to regroup and then start the next day again. Because otherwise, it starts to accumulate over time. And then you don't even realize it. It's like after a certain amount of time, because you haven't really balanced yourself and allowed yourself to keep grounding and just centered, you have adrenal fatigue, or you have sleeping issues, you're anxious, and maybe panic attacks, or just different things, because your body is trying to tell you, hey, there's something going on. You're not completely in your body, or, your soul, like you are just everywhere else. You're, scattered, and you need to just kind of, put it all together and just, come back to your center. And so those are things that I kind of do, when I work with women who are just everywhere at, with everyone, just all the time, just trying to like, just, be everyone's best friend at all moments, which is just not possible.
A lot of it's all the same, yeah, as you said, like Ayurveda, chakras, mindfulness, mindset. It's all about pretty much like similar things that show us our tools how to really live this life in a more balanced way.
Yeah. Is there anything else that I think you would want to, maybe a simple technique that you would want to like just tell the viewers, like maybe not just like a chakra, full chakra healing, but just like one or two little things that they can do, maybe even daily, just to kind of see, where they're at, and maybe kind of like, settle themselves, maybe a mantra, maybe like a color, maybe something to focus on that will help them kind of settle into their energies.
I would say like talking out of mindfulness, mindfulness is about really like understanding who are you in the present moment, like what are you showing, what are your actions right now, what are your thoughts. So I would say if meditation first of all, but start working with yourself, like a journal specific, like if you want to be more feminine, for example. Um, Journal throughout the day, or like at the end of the day, what feminine things you did today, or even better, to set your goal for the day, what kind of feminine things you would like to do today. So because for women, staying in their masculine so much, and it's all about patterns. It's like you used to do certain things all the time and you're staying in your masculine, you're not changing anything. So first of all, decide what you want to do and like start doing it, and then keep track if you did that and how did you feel about it. So you kind of exploring it because it's new for you. You might enjoy it. It might become your new habit, new trait, easy. And or it might be not really, like you may feel really uncomfortable doing something. So those little habits, they form your character. And
Yeah.
at first, like from the mindfulness point of view, like you need to understand what are those habits which form you, who you are, like what kind of actions, thinking process you have throughout the day, so you are this person today. um and yeah, like it's kind of like taking a small puzzle and trying to like change, like adjust it or create a new one that will fit your life better, and that will create like So there is an exercise also, like a wheel of balance exercise, which is like you divide your life by sections, and then you see with each section if, like if it's out, like what will it be if it's 10 out of 10, if it's like perfect for you. And then you set the goals that you take, little steps that will bring you to your 10 out of 10. So you can take your feminine section as like just a femininity, like you can grade yourself. Well, I do it with the clients as a coach, so I kind of guide them into that with the questions, but women can also do them on their by themselves. So you can take just generally the femininity in your life, let's say, and then you describe what it's like to be feminine, 10 out of 10 for you. Like, what do you see it's like, how do you feel, what do you do, like how do you behave with men, what there are certain things you do or don't do, and then you compare it to what you have right now. And if 10 out of 10 is like this image, and then right now you have like 4 out of 10 because you are like super masculine, you always like in your go 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 and like actions, and you just don't feel feminine, you start creating those little steps. What can I do to feel more feminine? And you start researching, like, and including it in your life and keeping track, like, okay, how did I feel today when I did this thing today? Like, I don't know, you signed up for a swimming lesson and you went to swim. So, and then you reflect, how do I feel now? Like, did it, like, do I feel more connected to my body? Do I feel more relaxed, or like, didn't do anything for me? Which is probably will not, like, it will do something all the time because like, it does have effects. So yeah, I would say from like more, like mindfulness point of view, you can just start like actually looking at your life, seeing where you would like to change and how you would like to change it, and then keep track of it, and start practicing.
I love that idea. That's so good. Yeah.
Thank
I hope our viewers start today because there's nothing like starting, something right away. So yeah, that's perfect. Like little steps, baby steps. And
you.
but just really envisioning things, writing things down, and just looking at how you feel every single day. I think that's huge. So good.
Thank
So
you.
yeah. Um, so thank you so much for our conversation today about feminine and masculine energies. I'm excited for next week again. We have a lot more to cover because there's such a vast topic. And I think that men and women can really benefit from knowing about these energies and how to really shift their mindset and just kind of their lifestyle and kind of really be able to be more grounded in who they are and utilize these energies to really bring in just whatever goals or desires they have in their life. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. If you're
yeah,
in balance to manifest anything.
yeah.
So
So, all right. Well, thank you so much, Kate. And I'm looking forward to next week. So, and thank you to everyone that tuned in today. I will see you next week. Bye.
bye.